Hi everyone, this is Nidhi. In this video, we are going to see how to filter Outlook mails in UiPath. So as we know that most of the automation process starts with reading emails from Outlook and filter them further based on certain criteria. For example, some specify subject line, email body, sender or receiver address, whether it contains an attachment or not, etc. Right? So in this video, we will discuss what are the different options in UiPath to filter Outlook emails. So there are three approaches to filter mails in UiPath. The first one is get top and emails. Now this approach is used when you want to read only specific number of emails from Outlook. Say for example, you only want to get top 40 or top 100 emails. So you're fetching only those number of emails and not all. The second one is to get a list of filtered mails based on a query string. And this query string contains your filter criteria. Now, this approach can be used when you want to apply filter on a collection of mails at once. For example, you want to get all mails in which subject line contains UiPath. So here you are applying filter query on collection of mails and getting a subset of those emails as the output. And the third approach can be used when you want to apply filter on each email item. Now this requires you to loop through all emails, check whether each mail matches a certain criteria or not, and based on that you may want to perform some actions. For example, you want to move that particular mail to another folder, download attachments, etc. Right? So these are the three approaches that are available in UiPath. Let's see each of them a little more in the details. So to get specific number of mails from Outlook, we will mention the integer count in the top field of get Outlook mail message activity, which is here. Okay, and the output will be specific number of email items. To apply the filter on collection of mails, we use query string. Now this query has two types. That is, it can be DASL or JET query. We will see these queries in detail later in this video. And here we will be using the filter field of get Outlook mail message to mention a query string. Now, if we want to apply filter on each email instead of the whole collection, then we need to iterate each email, check whether it matches the criteria or not, and accordingly take some actions if required. Here we will be using for each and the if activities additionally. Let's see how. So you are getting each mail. You are checking a certain criteria of that email. If it matches, you download the attachment or you perform some other action, and then you get the another email from the collection and repeat the same action. Now, if the criteria doesn't match from the email, you go back and take another item from the collection. So this is repeated for each email when you are looping all the emails, checking a criteria and performing some kind of actions. So this is another level of filtering on individual email. And here, as we said, we'll be using the for each and the if activities. So now let's quickly jump to our favorite place, that is UiPath Studio, and try out these filter options. This is a blank project, taking a sequence. From the activities panel, take get Outlook mail message activity. Now here, go to the properties panel. We are reading the inbox folder, and I'll just uncheck it. I'll read all the emails, not only the unread mails, okay? And here in the top, I'll mention that I want to read top 5 emails, okay? Now let's see the Outlook mailbox. Here I have around 6 to 7 emails in the mailbox. The output of this activity would be collection of mails, right? The variable type of the mail collection is system.net.mail.mail message. Okay. Now, if I want to see how many mails have been fetched from the get Outlook activity, I will say so this will give the number of emails from the email collection. Okay, so this is your first level of filter when you want to fetch only specific number of emails from the Outlook, right? So you are only getting 5 emails, no matter how many emails are there in your inbox. Okay. So the number of emails read by the get Outlook mail message activity is only 5. Okay. Now the next step is, now suppose from those 5 emails, that is top 5 emails would have been read till here. Okay. Now I want to fetch only those emails where the subject line contains UiPath. Okay. So I have this collection of mails and I want subset of these emails where the subject line has UiPath. How we can do that? Let's quickly see. I'll again take another activity of get Outlook mail message. Now, as we discussed earlier, to apply filter on a collection of emails, we need to write a query string where we will be specifying our filter criteria into the query, and this property is going to be used. Now, from where I can get this query? This is very simple and straightforward. Go to View tab, click on Change View, Manage Views, select Current View Settings, click on Modify, and then click on Filter. Now, after following these steps, you'll get this query builder. Now, this helps you to create your query string to be used in the UiPath Studio. Now, as you can see, there are 4 tabs, that is Messages, More Choices, Advanced, and SQL. We're going to see all of these tabs. So the Messages steps helps you to create very basic queries to create a filter for the Outlook mails. For example, if you see, if you want to search a specific word, then you can mention it here, what word you are searching for and where are you searching. Are you searching in the subject, or are you searching in the body and subject both, or the frequently used text fields? Okay, from which particular address you are searching, or to whom the mail was sent, or if you want to see in which emails where you were marked into the to line, or you were marked in CC, or you were marked in both, etc. Right? So you can use these filters from here. And the time, if the received time was particular, it was sent at a certain time, or expired, modified, you can choose all of these. So this gives you very basic query builder options. Since we only gonna see that we want mails where the subject line contains UiPath, so this particular tab is going to help us to create this very basic query. Okay, so we are searching UiPath in the subject and nothing else. Now you click on SQL and you get the query. Click on this option and you can now copy this. Copy and paste in your filter field of get Outlook mail message. Now what is the syntax? We're going to see. Put double quotes at the SQL equals to, and then paste your query that you have received from the Outlook query builder. Now there's an error warning. How we can remove it? The query that you have posted from the Outlook query builder, wherever you see a single double quotes, replace it with one more. Okay, just add one more this quotes wherever you see a single one, and then the error is gone. You're done. Okay, I'll just put this here, and we are saving these mails into this variable. Okay, and in the message box we will be getting the count of those emails. Okay, so now this count should be the number of emails where in the subject line UiPath is there. Okay, let's run this file. So the number of emails are 2. Let's verify this. Okay, now here the UiPath is there in the subject line, and here UiPath is there in the subject line. So we have 2 emails, right, which is correctly given by the query builder, and yeah, there is nowhere else in the subject to UiPath. Okay, so this is how you can put a filter on the collection of emails at once. Okay, now if you want to modify this query a little more advanced and you want to fetch those emails where the subject contains UiPath, but it was sent on a specific time or date, how we can create this query? Let's see. I'll get the same activity, get Outlook mail message. Okay, and now how we can create this query following the same steps. Click on filter. Now the subject line should contain UiPath, and click on advanced step. Here you'll be able to see like there's so many options to choose from to apply filter, right? You can choose frequently used fields, which is from received, start date, subject, auto forwarded, categories, context, etc. And then from the address fields, if you want to mention that there's a specified email address into the from or to, etc. But we'll be using the date and time fields, right? So if an email is received, say on or before 22 of September, okay, click on add to list. This filter is added to your list. Okay, so there is an end condition, right? We want the subject line should contain UiPath and the received date of that email is on or before 22 September. The resultant query is this with the end condition. Okay, you don't have to do anything. The query builder helps you to create the query. You just have to take care of the syntax when you are pasting that query in UiPath Studio. Go to properties, go to filter, right? And again, double quotes, @SQL and equals to paste the query from the Outlook. Now again, add additional quotes. Okay, now you're done and the error is gone. Not only under mails, and save it in the same variable mails. Okay, so now we are fetching those emails where the subject line is UiPath and they are received on or before 22 September. Running this, number of emails are 1. Okay. Okay. So yes, this is a particular email sent before 22nd and the subject line contains UiPath, right? There's no other email sent on or before 22 which has a subject line of UiPath. Okay. Now making this query more advanced. So now for example, you want to fetch emails where it contains an attachment. Okay, how we can build this kind of query? Again, following the same steps. Right? Okay, so for example, say that the subject line contains test, and in the more choices, we are going to see only items with one or more attachments, right? So in the more choices, you will see that you have more options to add to your queries, right? You can check items that are read or unread, right? The importance of the email is normal, high, low, okay? Or if they are flagged or not, or by me or someone else, right? You can use them, and the size of the attachments, etc. So right now we are using this option. Okay, it contains an attachment, and the subject line contains test. The resultant query is going to be this. Nothing else we have to do. Copy this again. Following the same syntax as the other, paste query, add additional quotes. Done. The error is gone. Now, if you see this particular value has attachment is 1 here. So it's a Boolean value. 1 represents true. If you make it 0, it means it will gonna fetch emails. The subject line contains test and which doesn't have any attachment. So you can actually use the 1 or 0 here itself to specify whether the mail contains an attachment or not. So yes, this is a Boolean value and 1 represents true. And in this file, okay, the error was because we did not save the output to any variable. Done. And the number of mails, 1. Let's quickly verify this as well. Okay, the subject line contains test. Okay, but this doesn't have an attachment. This also contains test and this has an attachment. So yes, we only had one email where the subject line was having test and it was having an attachment, right? Now, similarly, for example, if I make it 0, which means there's no attachment, but the subject line contains test. Again, the number of emails 1, because there was another email where the subject was having test but without any attachment. Okay. Now all these examples that we have seen right now are called DASL queries. Okay. These are a little complex but very straightforward to create from the Outlook query builder, and they're very powerful. The other kind of query that you can use to filter a collection of emails is the JET query. Let's quickly see how we can create JET queries. Getting again the same activity. Now the syntax of these kind of query is little different. It starts with double quotes. Now the parameter that you want to be filtered is placed in the square brackets. So for example, you are saying that the subject is equals to this is test mail, okay? Single quotes. This is test mail. So as you can see, this is very simple and very straightforward. The syntax is also very easy to write. And yeah, this is the JET query. And let me save the output in the variable. And we're going to see what will be the output. So right now we are filtering emails where the subject is equals to, this is test mail. Running this file, the number of emails 1. Okay, it worked perfectly. The syntax even was very easy, right? It doesn't require any query builder to be used, etc. Now let's see one more. For example, I want to use say from. Okay, mail is from. This email address. Okay, so the sender of the email is this. We have followed the same syntax. Okay, starting the query with the double quotes, putting the query in the double quotes. The parameter is placed in the square brackets and the value in the single quotes. Again, saving into the variable, and let's see how many emails are there from that particular address. Okay. Now there is a trick that okay, so yes, the number of emails from Nidhi Chaturvedi is 2. Yes, so the trick is that the from parameter works with the name of the sender, not the address of the sender. Okay, so yeah, so the number of emails received from this particular sender is 2. So these are the few examples of JET query. Okay, we're going to see more about these queries from the Microsoft documentation later in the video. But now let's quickly see the third approach of filtering the emails, which was reading each email from Outlook, checking if it satisfies a certain criteria or not. If yes, perform some action and then again fetch the another email. How we can do that? So I'm going to read the emails from Outlook, saving them in the variable mails. I'm not applying any filter right now because I want to apply filter on each email from this collection. Okay, so once I read all the emails from Outlook and saved it into a variable, which is a collection of emails, I'm going to use for each activity. Now I am iterating variables that are of type mail message, and the value is mails collection that we are getting from the above activity, get Outlook mail message. So this will give you a collection of emails, and in that collection of emails we are iterating each email and putting the if condition inside the for each. Let's say each email in the collection, if that particular mail, now these are the properties of the mail message class, and we can use any of these properties to apply filter on a particular email. So for example, if the mail attachments say count is more than 0. Okay, so this is the filter that I'm trying to apply on each email. So for each email in mails collection, if that particular mail attachment count is greater than 0, it means if it contains an attachment, then say for example, I want to display the subject of that email. So what I can use, mail.subject. That's it. Okay. So this is applying filter on each email and then performing certain action if it matches a particular criteria. Now let's run this. Now this is the subject line of the email where we were having attachment more than 0. It means an email with attachment having a subject line is test mail with attachment. And yes, there's one more email with the subject line this and it has an attachment. And yes, there's one more, 3 emails. That's all. So in this Outlook, we have 3 emails where the attachments are there. Okay. So this is how we have done. So in summary, what all we have seen is there are 3 approaches to apply filter on Outlook emails. First one is getting a specific number of emails from Outlook. Second, putting filter on the collection of emails all at once using the query builder or the DASL or the JET query using the filter parameter of get Outlook mail message activity. The third one is iterating each email of the mails collection and putting filter on each individual email. Right. So these are the 3 approaches that you can use to apply filter on the Outlook mails in UiPath. Now, as we discussed that what are actually the DASL or the JET queries and how do we know that we have to follow this particular syntax or from where these queries are coming, right? These thoughts may have been coming in your mind. So let's quickly see the documentation of Microsoft. So here it is. If you want to search the Outlook data, you get the option of these 3 queries to be used. Okay, and the most popular ones are the DASL and the JET queries. If you want to read more, you can obviously follow this documentation. This will be mentioned in the description of the video. Okay, now if we read more about these queries, it says that JET is the simplest to use, but it is also less powerful than DASL. Okay, and on the other side, it says DASL is difficult query language to write and to master, but it does have significant power for driving both the table objects and the items collections. It is a little more technical, but what all you have to understand is DASL gives you more advanced filter options, while the JET queries helps you to write very basic queries. Therefore, the JET query has a simple syntax, while the DASL has a little more complex, syntax. But that can be easily solved with the Outlook query builder, so you don't have to not worry much about the syntax and all. But yeah, these are the 2 approaches that are mentioned. Now, if you want to read more, you can follow one more link, which is on the filtering items. Now, as you can see, it is specified that, the JET filter supports what all such criterias and the DASL supports what all such criterias. As you can see, it almost supports all such filters, right? While in the JET filter, yes, there are certain advanced search that is not yet supported, being simple, but being less powerful. Now let's see the syntax. Here it is what we saw while we were creating the query in UiPath Studio. This is what we followed, right? All DSL queries begin with case sensitive prefix this, right? And this is what we actually used in UiPath Studio if you see. Let me uncomment any of the query. Now this was a query. This is how we started it as per the documentation, right? And then this is what we created from the query builder. And if you see in the JET filter, the syntax says it is enclosed within the square brackets around the explicit string names, right? Now, if you see our JET queries that we have used, yeah. So the property is mentioned in the square brackets and it is all enclosed within the string quotes. And you mention the value in the single quotes. So this is what it specifies here in the Microsoft documentation, that these are the syntax for the JET or the DASL filter. So yeah, if you have confusion anytime about the syntax or what are the options available to filter, or you want to research more on these kind of queries and the filter options, you can follow this documentation. It is not mandatory for you to refer this or something. This is just for the additional information. Also, if you want to explore more about the properties that you see here from the mail message class, right? Then you can refer this Microsoft documentation, that is mail message class. Okay. And yeah, definitely. These are the properties that, we see once we use the mail message class in a code. So we have recently used the attachments property. So yeah, you can follow these documentations, what all the properties are there, the attachments, body, CC, from, headers. We have seen all of these, right? If you go back here and if I say mails, now currently this particular mail is a object of mail message class, okay? And all of these properties that you see are actually here. The alternate views attachment, okay, here. Alternate views, attachments, all of these properties. And these are the methods you see, that .to string you can use, is numeric you can use, get type, get hash code. And these are the methods, that get type, get hash code, to strings. So if you want to explore any of the properties or the methods of this particular class, then you can follow this documentation of the mail message class. Now, why we are following the mail message class is definitely very simple to get a hint from, because the collection that we receive from the get Outlook mail message, the variable type is, if you see, is the mail message. So it's a list of a mail message objects. So that is why the property that you see is from this particular class. Okay, so that's all about how to filter Outlook mail messages in UiPath. Hope this helped you, and see you next time.